Hello and welcome back to my channel, Cozy Gamer Jessa. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a speed build of the pumpkin patch. And also it's going to be Non's yard. Alright, so the pumpkin patch is going to be left of the entrance that we built in our last speed build. And it's pretty much going to be in this area where all the pumpkin starts and bushes are. So I'm going to start off by placing down the road path, and I'm going to connect it up to the Able Sisters area where the shopping district is going to be. In my last video, I built up all this terraforming around Able Sisters, and I moved the museum up onto the second level, and I still have to move Nook's Cranny, but I couldn't today because it was getting upgraded to the bigger version of Nook's Cranny, so I couldn't move it just yet. But pretty soon there's going to be a shopping district decorating video, so stay tuned for that. My original plan was to have the road like going through the pumpkin patch, and one side is going to be the pumpkin patch and then the other side is going to be the carving area, but I end up going against that, and I do end up putting a dirt path instead. But the next course of business is getting rid of all of these pumpkin starts and bushes and just getting them out of the way so we can build a couple cliffs and start actually decorating. So I was not about to kick all of those holes, so I'm gonna start terraforming on the upper part of this build, and it's just gonna be like a waterfall again that pretty much like surrounds the area, so it can be like cut off from the other areas so you can like separate it. So I'm not completely finished with the terraforming in the back, but I'm gonna start terraforming by the river opening, and I'm just gonna do another waterfall that goes like into the river. As you can see, the way I terraform and build is kind of all over the place, and having all these holes in the ground really limited what I could do right now. Eventually I do time travel to the next day, but for some reason in the beginning I was so stubborn and didn't want to time travel and then log back into the game, so I do apologize for that. After building the waterfall that goes into the river like opening, it made me have an idea that I should probably do that with all the river openings, because I feel like it looked pretty good like doing that instead of having a big river that's going through my island or something like that, because I didn't really want that much waterscaping or like ponds on my island. So you just saw I placed down Non's house in the pumpkin patch area, and I still am gonna have a cul-de-sac for my other villagers, but I do have a few villagers that I picked out for certain builds, but it's only like 3 of them, so the other 7 will be in a like neighborhood type design. I left the opening behind her house so I could put a windmill, so when you look up you'll see it behind her house, but also it'll create different heights in the build. Alright, so I'm back to terraforming the top of this waterfall, and I'm gonna skip forward and I'll come back when I'm done with the terraforming. Okay, so I did time travel to the next day to get rid of all the holes and to have Non's house moved in, and I'm gonna start by placing down my leaf path that I have, and this is gonna be where the pumpkin carving station is gonna be. I am gonna move my house from the beach at some point, but for right now it is gonna be right there, but it is not part of the build so just ignore that. I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna put on the beach, but it will probably be a picnic area with the picnic like code that I downloaded and used in the last speed build. Oh yeah, and if you wanted to catch up on any of the videos, they are in the playlist linked down below, and I'll also link my Pinterest board down below too if you want to use any of these codes. Alright, so the next thing that I have to do is place down some dirt path so I can actually put down the pumpkin starts. And I also need to fix the waterscaping on the front of this waterfall. I thought it would look good with a little bit of waterscaping in front, but now Rex is fishing out of the little bit of waterscaping, so I'm definitely going to change that because that just looks ridiculous. Okay, so I placed down the alternating dirt paths for the pumpkin sprout area, and now I'm going to put down the leaf dirt path connecting Non's house to the road and eventually the next area to the left of us. I am thinking that the next area will go straight into an apple orchard, but if you have any other ideas that would fit better in that area, just let me know. Just keep in mind, I do have the villager houses stored over there, so I have to do the villager cul-de-sac before I can go to the next area to the left of us because they're blocking the whole area pretty much with their houses. Alright, so I'm going to link up the pumpkin patch and the beach area with this wood path, and eventually it would be pretty cute to have a little cafe on the beach or like some type of sitting area. Now that most of the paths are placed down, I'm going to go around and put down some puddle codes and logs and other leaf codes just to decorate the ground a little bit more. So while I was placing down those codes, I noticed that there's this open area where I'm standing and I felt like it was way too open, so I'm gonna build up another terraform area, and it's just gonna have more decorations on top just to kind of enclose the area more and cut it off from the surrounding areas so you know where the pumpkin patch ends and the new areas start. So I really need to figure out how I'm gonna set up the villager houses because you could tell in the video that I'm having a hard time building around the houses, and also when I moved the pumpkin starts, I just moved them like by the houses, so I also have to remove those again and the bushes, but at least I'll be planting the pumpkin starts now. Well, some of them at least in this area, so I can grow more pumpkins for the DIYs and, you know, of course, just for the area decoration. So I put down the pumpkins on the dirt paths kind of sporadically so I could add decorations like scattered amongst, and I didn't want it to be like completely full with pumpkins because in my brain I wanted to think like, oh, someone's already grabbed a pumpkin to carve it in the carving area, that's why it's not completely full. But also I think it looks better that way with it not completely full of pumpkins, like in rows, like less uniform and more organic looking. Alright, so I'm going to start placing down some decorations now. Of course I had to add my decoy duck by the water, and I'm going to be using hay beds just for decorations, not for sleeping, of course. And I'm also going to be using a lot of mushroom items in this build, and I did put down this spooky arch because I did see it in a reference photo from my Pinterest board if you want to refer back to that if you're interested in that. Also, I'm going to place down some garden items like the hand cart and the water pump, and if you're interested in my dream address to explore these areas that I've already built and just to see the progress of my next areas to come, just let me know, and I'll be probably posting that publicly in my next video, or I might post it in the comments down below. So my first idea was to just drop loose pumpkins on the ground as decoration, but I ended up using the pumpkin lanterns and turning them around so it looked like full-grown pumpkins in the pumpkin patch, because if you have too many dropped items on your island, you won't be able to get to 5 stars, and I do want to have a 5-star island eventually. So I'm trying to limit the amount of items that I drop in my builds, just so we have the best chance of having a 5-star island. Alright, so I placed down that log fence to kind of separate the beach from the pumpkin carving stations that I'm gonna have. And now I'm gonna place down some spooky fence and hedges around the road that's gonna eventually connect to the shopping district. Alright, so I'm gonna place down some more spooky items because obviously I just need more pumpkins and spooky lanterns and the towers. And I chose these log tables for the pumpkin carving stations that I'm gonna have. I don't have the knife block or cutting board items yet, but when I do, I will add them in eventually to really finish off this build. I already know it's not gonna happen in this video because I'm recording this in the future. Alright, so I'm adding the finishing touches to the bottom layer of my build and just placing down a few more items, and then I'm gonna put down the flowers to really finish off the bottom, and then we can start working on the waterfall pieces and adding codes, trees, and more decorations up there. So I'm gonna start off with using this leaf dirt path like I did down below, but I'm gonna use it up here to go underneath the spooky tree that I'm gonna place. I feel like most items look a lot better when you have some type of dirt path or code underneath them. It just really fills up the area better, in my opinion. Also, when you don't have a lot of decorations like me, you can use codes to make it look more full with the leaf path and the leaf codes. Anyways, a little bit off topic, but before this island, I never used any of the spooky day items. Like, I've used a lot of the mushroom items because I had a cottagecore island, and the mushroom items just go perfectly with that, but I never used any of the spooky day items, and now that I am, like, I was really missing out on my other islands because these look really cute. Like, they look really good together, and I think my island so far is turning out like way better than I expected it to. But there is going to be some parts of my island that are going to be more autumn and fall themed, and maybe even a little bit of Thanksgiving themed, I guess, because I didn't want the whole thing to just be full on Halloween, because I don't think I'll finish it before Halloween. I do feel like I will need longer than that because I am moving in the next 2 weeks, and I just won't be able to play as much or be able to record as much in the next upcoming month, unfortunately. So as you can see right now, I'm just placing down more codes on the last waterfall terraforming area, and this is the last area I'm going to be decorating for today's video, and I'm just going to decorate it like I did the rest of the build with, you know, trees, mushrooms, spooky day items, and flowers. Alright, so while I'm wrapping up the rest of this build, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that has subscribed and liked in the last couple days, or really in the last month that I've started posting YouTube videos. I really appreciate the support and the kind comments. And right after this, I'm going to show you the tour of the finished build, and let me know down below if this build has inspired you to make your own pumpkin patch, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like if you enjoyed the video. Bye!